Hey guys, it's Cream.
I can't tell you just how much I love nostalgic superhero merchandise and marketing. Whether it was for a movie, a cartoon, or just a standalone product, these promotions will always be special. And one aspect that added a lot to that specialness was the promotional artwork that often accompanied these campaigns. It's become sort of a lost art nowadays, but back then the artwork that we will be discussing was plastered on everything. From food, clothes, birthday supplies, to beach towels, you name it. But one thing that has seemingly slipped through the cracks, barely even discussed on the internet, is who exactly created these pieces of art. Despite being on tons of merchandise, the artists responsible for many nostalgic childhood memories are not widely known. So today, we're going to investigate. We're going to try and uncover the artists responsible for some of the most iconic and recognizable superhero movie promotional artwork. We will be going in order by year and hopefully giving a solid answer to all of you who've ever looked at any of these before and asked, I wonder who made that? So enough with the intro, let's move on to case 1. Spiderman 2002. The promotional artwork for Spider-Man 2002 is not only nostalgic for and beloved by many, but its significance cannot be overlooked. This was the first time Spider-Man was entering the big screen, so they really had to deliver something that would stick with fans young and old. And I think they did. What we got were some really awesome and unique looking pieces that certainly did stick with many, as I've heard countless people reminisce about seeing the art back in the day. Here are just some of the products you could have found this art on. Now, I've already discussed this artwork's origin in 2 other videos previously, so without rehashing that entire ordeal, I will say here that based on what we got, comic book artist Brian Hitch is the one behind the drawings you've seen on all those countless Spider-Man products from 2002. Here's a preliminary sketch by Brian, which lines up perfectly with this promo art. And we have a snippet from an interview of Brian himself talking about his time doing the artwork, as well as reminiscing about seeing it everywhere.
Captain America didn't have his little wings and all these things. It'd be very hard to do in live action. You basically provided the template for the Marvel Cinematic Universe with this stuff.
Well, I remember when I was trying to figure out what Iron Man would look like, I remember doing sketches because I had prior to doing that, actually, when Joe first got me to come over, the first job they actually got me to do was licensing art for the first Spider-Man movie, the Tobey Maguire movie, because there was no images from the movie.
I remember how much you get paid per drawing. It was a ton of money. Because I remember you phoned me up immediately, and you were per drawing. What you got was insane. It was brilliant.
I know, but that was one of those weird things too, where my comic and movie stuff intersected. Because so I did all these drawings because they hadn't got any images from the movie because they couldn't figure out, actually, as it turned out, how to make Spider-Man work. In the CG stuff, because they were making him swing around like Batman. But I'd done this series of drawings that were then digitally painted for lunchboxes and tablecloths and T-shirts and stuff. It was literally everywhere. It was amazing. Every time I went to one of my kids' friends' birthday parties, I saw my drawings scattered over the tables and the lunchboxes and the T-shirts. It was weird. But until I went to see the movie, and when Tobey Maguire, the end, so he's at the graveside, and then just before the final credits roll, there's a scene of Spider-Man swinging through the streets.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, but every single poses. It was the key. ILM used it as keyframe art. All my drawings used those keyframe, and I was like, I was like, I recognize all of that.
Now, if I had to pick my favorite image from all the promo arts, I think I'd have to say this one. I mean, this is just pure awesomeness. Be sure to tell me what your favorite promo art is from all the films mentioned. Ang Lee Hulk. This movie is definitely polarizing, to say the least. Some people think this Hulk adaptation is severely underrated, while another whole host of people think it fell pretty flat. But what I can say is that the promo art for the film is gorgeous. This Hulk design has got to be my favorite design of the character. Here are just some of the products featuring this Hulk art. Fortunately, I actually knew who drew this art beforehand. Dale Keown is the name, a comic book artist who is really well known for his Hulk drawings. But take a look at what I found. These sketches, found on the same website where the Hitch Spider-Man sketch was found, was done by Dale, and it perfectly aligns with this art. There's also this sketch, which again, perfectly aligns with the promo art. And to seal the deal, on Keown's own Twitter page, he posted this and this. So Dale Keown is the artist behind this nostalgic Hulk art. Lovely stuff. Spider-Man 2004 came with brand new promo art. This time Spider-Man design was much less comic book-like. It's less exaggerated and more realistic, more in line with what we actually see in the film. This isn't to say that the art isn't great though, you got some really nice pieces in here. Here are just some of the various items you can find with this art on it. I'm sure these will unlock memories for at least some of you, but we want to know who's behind them. Well, thankfully, it was actually pretty easy. See, there is something called a style guide. It's basically an outline given to the studios, to designers, and whoever may be working on the merchandise for a film, which gives them access to all the art, the renders, the backgrounds, everything. Pretty much a blueprint for what the studio wants from the merchandise designs. And as you could probably put together, the style guide here would be very helpful because it contains all the promo art. Searching for Spider-Man 2 2004 style guide, the first link of interest is a Flickr post by user Zuniga Ideas. The caption says that the poster made designs for the marketing of Spider-Man 2 and linked his blog where we can see more. Now, sadly, the link is actually dead, but I did find his website. On it, there is a page titled Spider-Man 2 Brand Licensing, and it is a treasure trove of Spider-Man 2004 promo art. Packaging, renders, backgrounds, it's all here. And if we look here, credited as director and graphic designer is one Mark Zuniga. Check out this guy's page for yourself. I'll leave it linked down below. This guy is really talented and he's got a ton of projects under his belt, and he's even got his own YouTube channel. So it looks like we have a pretty definitive answer for the art of Spider-Man 2004. Batman Begins, where the legendary Dark Knight trilogy got started. The promo art for Batman Begins is definitely less talked about in comparison with the previous cases, but I mean it when I say it, this art is fantastic. There's something about that realistic retro style that really clicks with me. Kind of the same feeling I get when I see Alex Ross art. I found one person wondering who the original artist of this art is, and the one reply they got was not helpful at all, so fear not because I am here to give you the answer that you seek. But first, let's see some of the products that have this great Batman art on it. When doing a search for Batman Begins promo art, I was led to this tweet. It showcased some artwork that I had never seen before. They looked like drawings that were done by hand. These were done by artist John Paul Leone, but if you look at the comments of this post, John Paul Leone himself states that the fourth image was done by illustrator Mark Stutzman. And when I looked into his name, I found Stutzman's website, and on it I found a page where all the promo art featured on the merchandise can clearly be seen. He's even got some more DC artwork including a Dark Knight Joker, which I believe was never used in the Dark Knight promotional material. But yeah, I'm really glad we were able to figure this one out with a satisfying answer. Superman Returns was supposed to be the big comeback of Superman. Unfortunately, it fell pretty flat for most people, but I think a lot of us can agree that the promotions for this film definitely have that nostalgic charm. Like the other art, it was spammed across all the film's merchandise. Luckily for us though, finding the original artist was not tough at all. Actually, I think it's Mark Stutzman again. On that same DC page with his Batman art, there is Superman art as well, and there is art of the Superman Returns Superman. It's not too surprising really, they both have that similar style, but you gotta love when the answer is nice and convenient like that. The second big blockbuster Hulk movie, 2008's Incredible Hulk. Many regard this Hulk as their favorite on-screen adaptation, and honestly, I'm in that camp. This version of Hulk was truly a beast, vicious and downright scary. And the promo art for that film captured that aesthetic pretty well. Although, I think some iterations had to be toned down for the younger audience. Let's take a look at some of the products featuring this Hulk art. After looking into it, I was able to find this artist again with relative ease. It's none other than Scott Johnson, the legend when it comes to superhero merch art. In case you didn't know, he's behind those iconic Marvel designs that used to be on every Marvel product. The Marvel Heroes line. Extreme levels of nostalgia from these. And putting aside that for a moment, these designs are phenomenal. For many, these are the definitive designs of the Marvel characters. This artwork for sure has a special place in my heart, so it was nice to know that he's also responsible for this Incredible Hulk art. And for our last case, we have the legendary Dark Knight from 2008. If you've seen my Dark Knight commercial video, you'd already have a pretty good idea of what some of the promo art looked like from this time. Interestingly enough, you can see some of the Dark Knight artwork with the Batman Begins suit design. This isn't too much of a shock, considering he does wear that suit for a portion of the movie, but it's still an interesting little tidbit. I think you guys know the drill by now. Let's take a look at some of the products that had this Batman art on it. But who is behind this art? Well, I bet many of you have seen this person's art before, but maybe not his name. Mark Fredrickson is the name, and in 2003 he became the primary cover artist for Mad magazine, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. I found some Pinterest pages where it reveals his ties to the work. Also, on the lovely site Batblog, I found an article talking about his art as well. But I did find something interesting. On the About section of Mark's website, it states that Mark's art of Batman and Superman can be found on DC products. Superman. Wait, is Mark actually the artist of Superman Returns art? It actually does have that similar style, so you guys tell me, who do you think is the artist behind the Superman Returns art? Mark or Mark? I did find this magazine featuring some Superman art with Fredrickson's name on it, which does give him some favor. Maybe Stutzman's original work was remastered by Fredrickson? Sounds plausible. Well, I said that was our last case, but I got a little bit of a bonus for you. Maybe some of you were wondering, what about Spider-Man 3? Well, most of those were actually not drawn, they were actual pictures taken, and then some edits were made. However, this Sandman promo art is clearly not derived from an actual picture. After looking into it, I found an ArtStation account under the name Robert Chang. It had posted really clear shots of the Sandman promo art. I looked into his name further and found out that among many things, Robert appears to be quite the skilled illustrator. And looking further at his resume, you can clearly see here that Robert was hired as an artist for the Spider-Man 3 marketing. On his other website, he's got his Spider-Man art posted yet again, with a caption confirming that he is indeed the man behind this Sandman art. But what about this Venom art that he did? Did this go unused? I don't believe I've ever seen this on a piece of merch, so let me know if you have. Also, Robert is responsible for this painting, which, if you know creepypastas, you'll probably recognize. But with that, those are some of the original artists behind some of the most nostalgic pieces of superhero artwork. Be sure to tell me which piece is your favorite, and if you remember seeing these back in the day. Also, if you know of any other superhero promo art that I could possibly make a part 2 on, drop that down below. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you in the next video. Peace.